like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make most of this musical day. Since we're together, you might as well stay. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Hello, neighbor.
Whew, I made it. I made it. Little horse, a little Winnie, little frog. Welcome to PrinnyCast for episode 26 on March 23rd, 2013. We've got the whole gang together again. We got Grover over here.
Hello.
We got Mike over here.
Hello.
You have me, Chris, sitting in nether space. Nether space? That sounds decent.
That sounds Minecraft.
Oh, there is that too. I have a tickle in my throat.
What happens when you fuck that you have really bad games?
This is why I don't do deathcore metal. But special thanks to longplays.org for all their help, for getting us some great game footage. Go check out their site for ever-increasing long plays from all sorts of genres and systems. You can also find them on YouTube as Cubex55. But thanks to GalaxyPugs.com, home of the PrinnyCast forums, and a place to find Unreal Tournament and Minecraft servers. And matter of fact, this very weekend, they're having an Unreal Tournament, Unreal Tournament 3.
Yep, right now. Literally going on as we speak. If you're hearing this on YouTube, yeah, it's too late.
Same with PAX East. It's also happening this weekend, as well as the League of Legends Championships, as I understand it. So for at least the European division.
Right now.
Yep. So it's a busy weekend for a lot of people. Don't forget to visit Grover's channel on YouTube at PCGOTW and PrinnyCast_Grover on Twitch TV, where we're streaming right now live. And he usually streams every day almost every day from 4 to 8 Central Time.
There's been a lot of family crisis and friends that need some emotional support and stuff, so I have missed days this week.
It happens.
Things are horrible this week, family-wise and friend-wise.
Life comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you can catch the PrinnyCast podcasts live every Saturday afternoon, somewhere between 1 and 6 p.m. Central Time. And that is that. So, what about the games this week?
Basically, League of Legends, and I have gotten back into that. I've just been playing around with my characters I'm trying to learn. And then there's SimCity, and SimCity, things are getting fixed, although slowly, I guess not to people's liking, because it is just a constant bitch storm that I've been seeing. I mean, for me, yeah, they f***ed up bad, but the rage they're receiving, even though they've now compensated people with a free game, some of them being $70, I don't understand the rage now. They're just like, we'll never forgive them even if they give us free stuff, and I'm just like, you're idiots. I can understand, that they're angry, but now they're just being obscenely.
We're in a society that, despite how sensitive it's gotten about being politically correct about stuff, that this is one of the most insensitive societies I think we have ever had. And it seems like the internet community really shows the worst of it, because I don't know, part of it's probably the anonymity, part of it is just the way gamer mentality is going these days. So it's really commonplace to see such hatred even among the fan base of something, where if something changes they don't like, there's this explosion now.
Yeah, it's almost for the point where sometimes the developers have to fear for their lives, and that's crazy there.
And it seems to have the most publicity around the companies who have the most rabid fan bases, like Valve and Blizzard. So when something goes wrong, boy, oh boy, there's a storm to wade through.
It just seems so weird, because SimCity groups are usually so docile and calm, and most of them are pretty logical, because, you gotta sit there and think while you're playing that game. Most of them I see are frothing angry. I mean, even more than normal. Somebody at Max has said that he's been sleeping on a cot in the company, and he hasn't been home twice to see his kids since the game has been released on the 5th. What are we, almost in the middle of the month? And people are saying, you deserve it. And it's just like, wow. So, yeah, but that's all I got for this week. I haven't been playing those two.
So how about you, Mike?
I've been playing StarCraft 2, Diablo 3. I've been playing that a little bit, not much. I was testing it on a stream earlier, and I just wanted to level up my Demon Hunter, really. Because it was a ranged character, and when I was playing, when the game launched, I was playing melee, so... And I've also put some time in on Yu-Gi the Destiny, which is that card game, so... It's kind of like the Magic the Gathering game that you can get on Steam, but for Yu-Gi-Oh!
That also explains why it looks so similar to one of the GBA Yu-Gi-Ohs that I played before, because it probably came out about the same time.
I've only played one GBA Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, and it was pretty bad. It doesn't follow the rules of the game, and it doesn't tell you what stuff does, so...
Is that the one with the story mode that follows the anime more than the card game?
Yeah, it follows the Battle City tournament. But yeah, most of my time has been spent on StarCraft 2. That game is super fun. As much as people were like, oh, they ruined it, blah blah, StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty is so bad, Heart of the Swarm won't be good, I really like Heart of the Swarm. It's got a good story.
We were just talking about this.
I think it has Yeah, I think it has a good story.
I do got to try that one. When I get StarCraft anything, it's always for the custom games. So
There should be a lot of them. But like you said, they were hard to find on the last one.
yeah, they had them in a way that you could only find them if they were popular, and if you did find them, nobody would play with you because they couldn't see it.
And it was one of the selling points of the engine about how creative people could be with it.
Mm-hmm.
The Space Invaders thing that they made with it, and there's a tower defense thing that they made easily with it, which used to be a major chore on the old StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The modding community was pretty much embraced by Blizzard in that game.
And I guess that's why it's sad it doesn't seem to be making more of an impact. Probably because of the tournament scene.
Yeah, and League of Legends has pretty much taken over the tournaments. It's blown up. It's so popular.
Yeah, there's so many people watching right now. It's unbelievable.
And this is with PAX going on.
Yeah. Makes me wonder if they're watching while at PAX.
It could be. So let me see my list. Minecraft is still pretty much down because of the texture pack situation. So I have not put in any time whatsoever. It's kind of painful. I'm learning the creative stuff I need to make my buildings pop a little more. What I have played is Congregate, Epic Battle Fantasy 4. Now that's a long-running kind of Final Fantasy-esque series, and the ones I've played in the past never really grabbed me, but this one, I found myself stopping easily enough. It's not like, oh, I gotta do one more level sort of thing, but as a little time waster in between doing other things, it's been fantastic for it. I like the leveling system. There's a lot of stuff about it I'm actually going to be putting into my own little space RPG that I've been working on for years and years and years as a pet project. It's by no means professional. It's more of a trial experience for me so that when I do get serious about any particular game making I may have in the future, this is the one I'm using to tweak everything with, to learn with. Because as they generally tell you, do not make your grand opus first. Never
They
would.
say that with books too.
And been playing Euro Truck Simulator 2.
I wondered if you were going to play more of that.
It's not grabbing me as much as it did before, but I still find myself coming back to playing it, and it's not something that's as easily to quit as, say, the Congregate game, because it can take up to 20 minutes to go from point A to point B, despite, it's not real time. Those trips would actually take hours upon hours. But
Yeah, hours upon hours upon hours.
And I'm learning the limitations of the game, and I think that's part of why it's not grabbing me quite so much as it did the original time. But that's pretty much
that's
it.
a major thing with a lot of games where when you first start playing, you're just blown away by everything. And once you get used to it, you start seeing the things of the world that are, the limitations, what you can and cannot do, what is impossible, and it kind of hurts you at times.
Well, what helps games like this one, and I'll probably talk about it a lot when we do our show about guilty pleasure games, when you do not have expectations for a game, you will enjoy it more, because it's more likely that it's going to surprise you than let you down. And this was one of those cases. I kept hearing people talk about it. I kept watching it on streams, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, if I wanted to watch the scenery and stuff, the whole point of why that game's so popular is because there is a popular genre, cult following, I don't know what you'd call it, but a niche of truck drivers who put cameras on their trucks while they're traveling around doing their stuff in Europe, and they get a lot of followers. It just and that's where these things came from. And
I've never heard of that. Really?
It never quite caught on, say, like the Shiba Inu puppies that got me watching streams in the first place that became famous. But
everybody knows about them.
It wasn't quite that big, but it's a thing. It is a thing. And it's largely because, you're traveling around Europe without actually traveling around. You're not watching some glorified travel channel show. You're watching real deal roads. This is what
is it on live stream? They just
it's
just there. Oh wow.
And they usually don't talk or anything either. It's just them, the radio, and everybody in chat talking to each other about stuff.
That's crazy.
So, without further ado, on to game news.
Oh boy.
And I'll go ahead and start off with this, that free games the whole SimCity debacle is giving out. Most of you guys already know all about this, but I thought I'd throw this out there for the few who don't. Bejeweled 3, Need for Speed Most Wanted, that's the brand new one, I think. Plants vs. Zombies, great game. I don't know if it fits with the rest of these. SimCity 4 Deluxe Edition, which Grove was actually joking that this would be the free game they were giving away, and sure enough, there it is.
I thought for sure. I was just surprised that Sims 3 isn't on it.
Medal of Honor Warfighter, which I almost have to wonder, well, we can't sell it, might as well give it away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a mean thing to say. Battlefield 3, Mass Effect 3, and Dead Space 3. Except for SimCity 4, they're all standard editions, so there's no extra DLC or anything like that in these. For the most part, that's a pretty high-profile list of games to pick through.
There's a reminder that if you are under the age of 18, they are not legally allowed to give you a immature-rated game, so you will be getting 2 games instead, the Bejeweled and Plants vs. Zombies.
4 of those are mature? I don't know about Most Wanted.
Yeah, it's mature.
Yeah, Dead Space 3, that's like 2-3 months old. That's really good deal for anybody that didn't already pick it up.
I got two $60 games from this for the price of one, so I'm happy.
So onward, Ultimate Guru Richard Garriott, also known as Lord British, has broke well over $1 million for his new project, which he calls the Ultimate RPG of the titled Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues, as he teams up with fantasy author Tracy Hickman, and the title highly suggests it will be set in the Ultimate Universe, and is designed to be an MMO but can be played alone offline. So what's so different about this RPG? He's focusing heavily on the experience and open-ended goals rather than the standard beat and leveling fare. Beat is in beating the game, not the vegetable fruit thing. Anyway, citing it will be more about actual role-playing in a world than just playing a game. So in other words, slightly Morrowindish, I think, only with an Ultima slant to it. So you can play a villager, you can play a soldier, you can play an adventurer, and literally play it. There's supposedly plenty to do as anything that you choose to do, which was a thing in Ultima Online. People who remember that game, there were people that would make entire builds just to be a blacksmith in town. You don't see that too much in modern MMOs.
No, you rarely ever do.
And I'll stop with the accents. A group of Pixar artists have gotten together to create Steel Wool Games Studio. And no, they haven't left Pixar to do this. They'll be pulling double duty to pursue the new venture, so working at both. Their first game, Fly Hunters, anticipated to release this summer and slated for a multi-platform release. Little more is known at the moment. No sooner did we report that EA's John Ricciutello was awarded in Sports Illustrated that he joins the list of big names in the industry leaving his job. Come March 30th, he'll no longer have any ties with Electronic Arts, even on the board of directors. His reasons for living...
Turkey sandwiches. That's my reason for
EA
living.
took his will away.
His reasons for leaving, as it's been quite public as he's been releasing press statements, allegedly surround the company's shortfall with financial expectations rather than all the controversy around games like Star Wars The Old Republic, Mass Effect 3, and then recently SimCity, though you could argue that the financial expectations are largely because those games didn't quite do what they expected, despite the fact that I think they all did better than they expected. It's just the controversies around them hurt their reputations.
They got too rushed.
Even as Origin celebrates its biggest numbers of users yet, probably in no small part and thanks to SimCity's launch, they've discovered an exploit within their system that could let hackers substitute game downloads for any number of malware or viral packages. Basically, from what I understand, Origin has this linking issue where the official site can be used, but extra tagging methods can be run into the link so that any hacker could change it how they wanted to. In other words, it would look like an official link, but there would be coding at the end of it that normally wouldn't be, there's just a lot of gibberish between the PHPs and HTMLs anyway, numbers and such. And they could use these tags to throw you to anywhere they wanted, whether it's other websites, to Trojan links, to anything that they wanted you to download or go to. And because Origin had no way of checking the links themselves to see if they were legit, it just ran it through. There's no 404 errors or anything like that. And apparently Steam had this problem recently too, but they've already fixed theirs. And EA is doing the same thing with Origin. The issue is being researched and dealt with expediently. So
we're taking this situation very, very seriously.
Excellently seriously. What does that even mean? So there's an internet company called Tencent in China, and as far as we know, it's not related to the hacking stuff going over there, no. But it was announced last summer, before we even began PrinnyCast, that there had been a mention they've bought a minority's 40% stake in Gears of War makers Epic Games. And Epic Games has been in the news a lot lately between Rod Ferguson and the Cliff Bleszinski and the Knight Caps, who've all left Epic since this event happened, though it's probably completely unrelated once again. Now, Tencent isn't new to owning video game studios, as they own a majority stake in Riot Games. And, of course, Riot Games is the developer behind League of Legends.
So they are having money for breakfast, lunch, and dinner right now.
And so Nintendo is smiling a little bit more for the European market this week. German youth protection law that had caused Nintendo to restrict online sales of 18-plus mature titles for both the 3DS and the Wii U to be between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. So there was only this little block of time that you could actually buy these games online with. But now the German equivalent of the ESRB, who also handles pretty much any of the media stuff, whether it's commercials or movies or TV and everything else, has actually applauded Nintendo's parental control system and has relaxed this whole law thing for Nintendo to let them open up their sales to be at any time. And so these lockouts have been taken down for Germany, and apparently the rest of Europe was being affected by this too, because the servers were being universally handled instead of just a specific region. And Blizzard is also smiling as their sales figures for StarCraft II's expansion, Art of the Swarm, sold more than 1.1 million copies in 48 hours. While that doesn't match StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty's original launch, it certainly proves that StarCraft is not forgotten in the least.
Mm-hmm.
Knew this. However, meanwhile, Microsoft isn't smiling. They've spoken up about a recent Xbox Live hack that used social security numbers and other methods through an unknown or unnamed third party to gain them access to both former and current Microsoft employees. And apparently that's caused other trouble to other people. And in that Sega news, you might remember this from a long way back. I think this was last November. Anyway, that whole mess about them getting several Sega Classic games on YouTube, like being flagged and accounts getting banned and everything else. Well, that's getting altered and overturned, albeit many months late, as the company has been working with users and YouTube alike to fix the damages. While it seems a small number of gamers even realize this had happened at all, it may also be another scar in the company that's struggling with its fan bases as it is, especially since it doesn't seem like there's been really much of an apology for it, since this was mostly just a thing that they posted on the forums and little more.
Mm-hmm.
But while Sega is easing off, there's been no shortage of these instances out of places like Viacom, DreamWorks, and Nintendo that I've personally noticed from watching other YouTube videos, and trailers getting taken down, content getting taken down, and it could be more down the road because of YouTube's automated flagging system. So this means one day PrinnyCast may have to be nothing more than like a splash picture or webcams or something like that. And I know a lot of podcasts and game news videos do this already, but I feel we have something unique because of the way we do things, and I'd like to be able to keep that. So please, YouTube, calm down with the flagging stuff. I mean, when it's a legitimate flag, I get it. When somebody's like posting television shows or movies, entire albums of songs, that's what that stuff is supposed to be for, not for journalisms and trailers.
And it still messed up some things. I got flagged for one of my Minecraft things, and I sent them the note saying, we're not said, you have permission to use this for any and all stuff as long as you're not making any money, blah, 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 blah. And YouTube still took it down. I was just like, what the hell?
That is extremely strange. I didn't know it was a Minecraft one. I figured it was one of the other things.
They did it for Earthbound, but the Earthbound one they let slide. But the Minecraft one they removed. I was just like, what?
Most of the time, flagging with our accounts is a minor issue. It's just something that, hey, any revenue you get off the ads, it's probably going to go to these guys instead of you. That's basically all these are. But every now and then, there's...
You get an oddity.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, cable TV company I'm not going to mention on air.
Don't sue us. I can't. Name retracted.
Meanwhile, it's been a common trend to see bumps in player bases when an MMO goes to free-to-play. Star Wars The Old Republic celebrated just recently about some of their numbers, which I cannot seem to find. But now Terra Online, who recently went free-to-play, is also reporting 1.4 million current players. And the Tribeca Film Festival announced that Beyond Two Souls from Heavy Rain developer Quantic Dream, that will be out this year for the PS3, will be at the festivities with a 1-hour scene and a Q&A session with the game's director, as well as Ellen Page, the actress who portrays the heroine of Jodie in the game. Most people would probably better know her from the lead role in Juno and the supporting role in Inception. So this is only the second time a game has been featured at this particular festival, the last being in 2011 for L.A. Noire. And it actually makes sense that these very cinematic-style games would be getting noticed in the movie world, but it's also kind of a concern that more and more games are going to be more and more movie-like, and that's not always a good thing.
No, it's not.
We don't need more movie-like games. They're neat as an experiment, but if every game played like that, it wouldn't be unique.
So it's better that it's interactive than it's something that you're watching, I suppose, but at the same time, one of Heavy Rain's biggest arguments against it was the fact that no matter what you did, it really didn't change the story that much. It always generally ended pretty much the same. I mean, who lived, who died may change, and of course that's going to change the story, but overall, the villain is always the same. It doesn't change, so once you've played it, it kind of hurts the replay through. There's no more surprise anymore. It's like watching a murder mystery. Unless it's really good, you're not going to want to see it again because you already know who the killer is.
Yeah.
Dumbledore dies.
But at the same time, if I had a choice between something like Heavy Rain being in the middle of an action game and, say, the notoriousness of Xenosaga or Metal Gear Solid with their hour-long cutscenes where you do nothing but sit there and watch, I would like a little interactivity if I'm going to be forced there to sit through these anyway, especially if they're going to be an unskippable scene.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my opinion. Mine. I'm pointing at my chest. So PAX East hasn't so far let out a lot of major surprises or announcements. Granted, there's still time left. There's like a day and a half still. But save for two potentially surprising ones and one less surprising but still nice to hear all the same. Okay. One is Capcom and Disney has let WayForward remake the classic NES DuckTales title. I kid you not, with brand new high-def paint job, hopefully reminding folks of how good some of those oldies actually were when it releases on 3 major consoles and networks for download sometime this summer, possibly this spring, because it looks rather close to finished. And then there's Blizzard, who announced a free-to-play collectible card battle game called Hearthstone for the PC, Mac, and iPad. Strangely, they mentioned iPad, not iOS. It's the first time I've seen that in a very long time. It will largely be based around the World of Warcraft universe and have some 300 cards launched sometime this year with a beta over the summer. I do not know if this is necessarily an online version of the World of Warcraft card game, because that's what it sounds like.
It looked similar, but it also looks like the rules are slightly different and the cards themselves are different. So it looks like it's pretty much the WoW trading card game, but with like cards made specifically for this game and maybe a rule or two that has changed.
So it stands to reason that anybody that plays the card game already will be able to pretty easily get a phone call. That's pretty easily get a phone call. Hello, are you for me? La da 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 da. And the last one is Xbox Live exclusive indie game Dust and Elysian Tale, the Metroidvania meets Masamune. That's a gorgeous to look at and is getting a lot of attention. Some of it negative attention because of its very furry-centric style. But it's getting a Steam launch as early as April, announced today at PAX. And before all of that, Square announced in the mega popular Shonen Jump magazine, home of One Piece, Naruto, and so many other manga/anime hits, that there will be an HD remastered double pack of Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 to come out sometime soon for the PS3. This was actually mentioned a long time ago, back in 2011, as a matter of fact, but it's been almost silent since then, so I don't know if anybody even expected it to ever happen. But it's actually happening, and it's coming with X2, which I still think is a fantastic battle engine, even if the game itself was horrible.
I've been patiently waiting.
But also addended to this. There we go. We'll say it that way. There's also a package set up for the Vita. The 2 games will be sold separately. And speaking of the Vita, if it wasn't for some YouTube people I watched, I wouldn't have known about this, but Atelier Tutori Plus. Now, Atelier Tutori has already been launched on the PS3 just recently. Tutori Plus has launched on the North American Vita just this last week without any one bit of news. Not a press release, not an advertisement, not a word. Nobody even knew that the game was getting translated for US audiences. And then it just showed up on the PSN browser. This is called Ninja Inc. And why a company, any company, this one or many other instances this has happened to, why game companies would do this, it sounds like a horrible bit of business practice.
No comment about that.
I have nothing to add.
And so just to throw out the game releases that are supposed to come out, whether they do or not, I don't care anymore. But Final Fantasy XI Scars of Abysia for the 360, which I didn't know was getting supported anymore on the consoles.
I didn't either.
So I don't know if this is real or not, but it's listed on 2 different sites, so I'm going to assume that it is. Army of 2, The Devil's Cartel, comes out for PS3 and 360. And we mentioned last week, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Affinity for the 3DS comes out, along with that Pikachu DS, so don't forget about that. And Luigi's Mansion, The Dark Moon for the 3DS also comes out next week. This is not to be confused with the full sequel for the Wii U that's coming out someday. And of course the big one, Bioshock Infinite, finally launches this week on PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. And that is game news for March 23rd, 2013.
Hey Sam, what's wrong? You look sad.
Not now, man. I'm not in the mood.
I know what you need. This one's for you, Sam.
Open Gangnam Style.